سلام، مهدی نوری هستم و تو این ویدیو با هم میخوایم بریم سراغ قسمت دوم از درس نهم. کتاب American Headway سطح دوم. In the previous video, we learned about past perfect. Now let's learn how to pronounce this apostrophe D. The contraction apostrophe D can be difficult to hear. Listen to these sentences and select the ones you hear apostrophe D had. شنیدن این آپاستروف دی یه وقتایی میتونه یکم مشکل باشه. بیاین به این جمله ها گوش بدین و اونایی رو که آپاستروف دی توشون میشنوید یعنی شکل کوتاه شده had رو انتخاب کنید.
Track 5. Pronunciation. 1,
They'd walked 20 miles.
2,
One man hid in a tree.
3,
The other pretended to be dead.
4,
When the bear had gone, the man came down.
5,
He'd left his friend when danger came.
The answers are 1. They'd walked. 5. He'd left.
Here are the sentences. You can listen to them again and practice them. For example, in number 2, one man hid in a tree. There is no apostrophe D here.
Track 5. Pronunciation. 1,
They'd walked 20 miles.
2,
One man hid in a tree.
3,
The other pretended to be dead.
4,
When the bear had gone, the man came down.
5,
He'd left his friend when danger came.
What is the difference in meaning between these sentences?
Okay, number 1. When I arrived, she made dinner. وقتی دو تا past simple پشت هم داریم، جمله‌ای که با when شروع میشه جمله اوله. When I arrived, for example, at 9 o'clock, she made dinner at 10 o'clock. When I arrived, she was making dinner. When you have past simple and past continuous, the past continuous action started before that. For example, she was making dinner from 8:30 to 9:30. I arrived in the middle of that action, around 9. And when I arrived, she had made dinner. When you have past perfect, it doesn't matter where you put when. Past perfect action happens as the first one. She had made dinner. Already finished. For example, at 8:30, I arrived at 9. Okay. 2. She spoke good French because she lived in France or she had lived in France. In this one, there is absolutely no difference between them. When it's clear that the second action is which one, you don't need to use actually past perfect. 3. I listened to music while I did my homework or when I had done my homework. In the first one, while I did my homework, for example, from 9 to 10, at the same time I was listening to music. But in the second one, first I finished my homework, then I started music. 4. When I got home, the children went to bed or the children had gone to bed. Again, two past simple sentences as you can see in the first choice. When I got home at 8, the children went to bed at 9. After I arrived home actually. But the children had gone to bed before I arrived home. So they went to bed around 9. I arrived at 10. 5. She gave me a book, so I read it. Or, but I had read it. She gave me a book, so I read it. It means it was a new book. You didn't have it before and you started reading it. But I had read it means you already had read that book before she gave it to you. Last year, you read that book. This year, she gave you the same book, so you didn't read it actually.
Now match a phrase in A with a line in B. 1. I was nervous on the plane because I'd never flown before. من توی هواپیما مضطرب بودم به خاطر اینکه تا قبل از اون هرگز سوار هواپیما نشده بودم. 2. When I'd had breakfast, I went to work. 3. I met a girl at a party. Her face was familiar. I was sure I'd seen her somewhere before. وقتی تو مهمونی دیدمش قیافش برام آشنا بود. مطمئن بودم که قبلا اینو یه جایی دیده بودم. 4. I felt tired all day yesterday because I hadn't slept the night before. من تمام دیروز رو خسته بودم چرا که شب قبلش اصلا نخوابیده بودم. 5. My wife was angry with me because I'd forgotten our anniversary. Anniversary یعنی سالگرد. سالگرد ازدواج. 6. The little girl was crying because she'd fallen and hurt herself. And now the shepherd boy. Shepherd is the person who is responsible for taking care of cows. چوپان. Shepherd. Now let's talk about joining sentences. Here is another one of Aesop's fables. Look at the pictures. Can you tell the story? The name of the story is The Boy Who Cried Wolf. We know this story in Farsi as چوپان دروغگو. The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Read the story. Choose the correct word or phrase to join the sentences. As you can see, you have 9 options and you should choose only one of them. Now, here are the answers, but I want you to listen and check all your answers and also pay attention to the pronunciations.
Track 7. The Boy Who Cried Wolf.
Once upon a time, there was a shepherd boy who took care of the sheep in the hills near his village. His job was very boring. One day, while he was sitting under a tree, he had an idea. He decided to have some fun, so he went down to the village and shouted, "Wolf! Wolf!" loudly. As soon as the villagers heard the boy, they stopped work and raced to the hills to help him. But when they got there, they saw nothing. They returned to their work. After they'd gone, the shepherd boy smiled to himself. A few days later, the boy did the same thing again. He ran into the village and shouted, "Wolf! Wolf!" The villagers didn't know whether to believe him or not, but they were worried about their sheep, so they went to the hills to help him. Again, there was no wolf. They were angry because the shepherd boy had lied again, but he just laughed. Then, the next day, just as the sun was setting, a wolf really did appear, and it began attacking the sheep. In terror, the boy raced down the hill to the village, shouting, "Wolf! Wolf!" Although the villagers heard his cries, they did nothing to help. This time they really didn't believe him. The shepherd boy climbed back up the hill to look for the sheep, but the wolf had killed them all. He was so ashamed that he sat down in the moonlight and cried. The moral of the story is, we should not lie. A liar will not be believed, even when telling the truth.
Now answer these questions. When did the boy have his idea?
While he was sitting under a tree, he had his idea.
When did the villagers race to the hills?
As soon as they heard the shepherd, they raced to the hills.
When did the shepherd boy smile?
After the villagers had gone, he smiled.
When did the wolf appear?
As the sun was setting, the wolf appeared.
As you can see here, we have 2 sentences and we are joining them. Let's go to the grammar spot. Conjunctions are used to join sentences. Conjunctions یه سری لغاتی هستن که ما ازشون استفاده میکنیم برای اینکه جملات رو به همدیگه بچسبونیم. Look at this one. He wanted to have some fun because he was bored. اون میخواست یکم خوش بگذرونه چون که حوصله‌اش سر رفته بود. شما میتونید این دوتا جمله رو جدا از هم بگید، اما خب خیلی قشنگتره و برای این لول مناسبتره که بیاین با این کلمه اونا رو به هم بچسبونید. Although they were all busy, they stopped work. اگرچه که همشون مشغول بودن، کار رو متوقف کردن. No one believed the boy, so he climbed back up the hill. هیچ کسی باورش نکرد، بنابراین اون برگشت و از تپه رفت بالا. حالا چیزایی که با هم دیگه تو این درس خوندیم: when, while, before, after, as, until, and, as soon as are conjunctions of time. اینا حروف ربط زمان هستن. As soon as the villagers heard the boy, they went to help. به محض اینکه روستایی‌ها صدای پسر رو شنیدن، رفتن که کمکش کنن. While the boy was in the village, the wolf killed all the sheep. در حالی که پسر توی روستا بود، گرگ تمام گوسفندا رو کشت. پس اینا حروف ربط زمانن. بیاین یه سری مثالای بیشتر رو اینجا با هم دیگه بخونیم.
When I arrived home, Tom was making dinner. وقتی رسیدم خونه، تام داشت شام درست میکرد. Tom was talking to me while he was making dinner. در حالی که داشت شام درست میکرد با منم صحبت میکرد. As soon as I arrived home, Tom started making dinner. به محض اینکه رسیدم خونه، تام شروع کرد به پختن شام. Tom made dinner after I arrived or after I had arrived home. بعد اینکه من رسیدم خونه، تام شروع کرد به غذا درست کردن. He had made dinner before I arrived home. قبل اینکه من برسم شامو درست کرده بود. As he was talking, I was thinking about the last time we'd met. در حالی که اون داشت صحبت میکرد، من به آخرین ملاقاتمون فکر میکردم. He didn't start making dinner until I arrived home. تا من خونه نرسیده بودم شروع به پختن غذا نکرده بود.
So is a conjunction of result. After so, we use the result. He was bored. So what was the result? He went for a walk. ما so رو وقتی استفاده میکنیم که سر جمله نتیجه باشه. اون حوصلش سر رفته بود. خب نتیجهش چی شد؟ چی کار کرد؟ رفت پیاده روی. Because is a conjunction of reason. After because we use the reason. He went for a walk because he was bored. ما بعد از because دلیل چیزی رو میایم میگیم. اون رفت پیاده روی چون که حوصله‌اش سر رفته بود. But and although are conjunctions that join contrasting ideas. But و although هر دو میان در واقع حروف ربطی هستن که دو تا جمله‌ای که در تضاد با هم دیگه هستن رو به هم وصل میکنن. حالا although از but فرمالتر و رسمی تره. It was raining but we played tennis. داشت بارون می اومد اما ما تنیس بازی کردیم. Although it was raining we played tennis. اگرچه با وجود این که داشت بارون می اومد ما تنیس بازی کردیم. اینو فقط خیلی دقت کنید که بچه‌ها اشتباه به خصوص فارسی زبانا اینجا از یه بات هم استفاده میکنن. چون ما تو فارسی میگیم اگرچه که داشت بارون می اومد اما تو انگلیسی فقط میگیم although it was raining we played tennis. Now complete the sentences with although, so, or because.
1. They didn't find the wolf, so they went back to work. 2. They helped the boy because they were worried about their sheep. 3. Although they heard his cries, they didn't do anything to help.
Now, can you tell the story using these prompts? میتونید خودتون یه بار این داستان رو با استفاده از این ایده های کوچولو کمک‌هایی که بهتون اینجا داده تعریف بکنید. You can turn it into a paragraph. Comment it for us. We will check it for you. میتونید اینو تبدیل به یه پاراگراف خلاصه داستان بکنید. برای ما کامنتش کنید. حتما تصحیحش میکنیم. خب. رسیدیم به پایان بخش دوم از درس نهم. خیلی با هم دیگه مطالب جدیدی داریم توی این درس یاد میگیریم. اما هنوز درسمون تموم نشده. Let's go to the next video, part 3.